attending tonight. This is tremendous turnout, and it's going to be a good evening for everybody concerned. And I'm happy that all of the candidates are here. I want to thank the American Legion Post 370. I'm the commander. I want to thank the officers and the members for unanimously voting to opening up the doors to the citizens of Louisiana. I want to thank the City of Louisiana and the school, R2 School District, for not sponsoring, but endorsing the entire program. They were behind it 100%, and I want to thank them. I want to thank Dave Moeller from the Press Journal, April Fronick from the Trib, her husband Mark. They will be doing this live on their website. It will be archived. I want to thank Chris Cotter from KJFM. They will also be doing it live on their website, and they are archiving it, so there will be plenty of time to reference back if you want to go back over this. I want to thank our moderator, Brent Engel. Stepped up. He has control of this as soon as I give it to him. I want to thank Rob Brown for the donation of all of the PA system and the electronics. I think everybody can hear good. I'm sure everybody can see very well. And before we start, in honor of all of our veterans, I would like for everybody to stand, and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. All veterans, you are permitted to hand salute. Follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm going to turn it over to Brent Engel at this time. Enjoy yourselves and pay attention. Brent?
How about another hand for Bob? He's actually the one who put all this together. He set up all these chairs. He did all the work. He just dropped by my office one day, and before he even spoke, he didn't realize it, but he had me. So I would have said yes no matter what he said, probably. I want to thank everyone in attendance tonight, and those who are listening or watching on the websites of the People's Tribune newspaper and KJFM radio. The road we take tonight is one that has been trod for thousands of years. Political discourse in the public arena is a tradition enjoyed by everyone from Confucius and Plato to de Tocqueville and Buckley. In America, we've made such gatherings uniquely our own. As with our nation, the vast majority of us are immigrants to this community we now call home. At some point in the last 200 years, either we or our families moved here from somewhere else. It is now our responsibility to leave the place we love better than we found it, just as we hope our ancestors did, and as we hope our children will. You will hear from the candidates for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Ward City Council and Louisiana R2 School Board. These contested races will be decided on April 2nd. I've been involved with candidate forums for almost 30 years as a print or broadcast journalist or as a moderator. I have found the following system to work best. Candidates will open with a 2-minute discussion of their campaigns. They may say anything they want. They will then take turns answering questions submitted by the news media as well as you. Each will have 2 minutes to answer, with opponents then having 2 minutes each to respond, even if the question isn't specifically directed toward them. A signal will be given when the candidates have 15 seconds remaining. That will be the signal. I will cut off candidates who exceed their time limit. And if you don't believe me, ask our current state representative. I did it to him in the summer forum we did in Bowling Green, or actually at the Elks Lodge here in Louisiana. At the end of each question and answer period, candidates will be given 2 minutes each to summarize their campaigns. So candidates, if you forgot to say something in your open or during one of the questions, do it during your close. Candidates may not ask each other questions and are encouraged to direct their answers to you, the audience, the public, and to avoid personal attacks. Should I believe that candidates are engaging in personal attacks, I will give one warning. If it happens again, I'll cut you off and I'll go to the next question, or I'll ask you to step down. Please be respectful of each other. You may disagree, but have the courtesy not to demean or degrade your opponent. To be fair to each candidate and to get in as many questions as possible, the audience is asked to hold its applause until the end of each segment. Once each segment concludes, there will be a 3-minute break. This will allow time for the next group of candidates to come to the stage, as well as give our media friends time to take a break to make a buck or two for their webcast, right? Questions of a libelous or lascivious nature were not considered. Some inquiries may not be answered because of our time limit. Also, some of your questions and some of the media questions may be blended into one. We've had a lot of questions, as I'm sure you're probably well aware, about economic development and jobs. Those were kind of bundled into one question. Not every candidate may get those questions. So, at the end of this forum, you are more than welcome to talk to the candidates about what they believe. One more thing for the candidates: if you do finish before your 2 minutes is up, please acknowledge that you're done. Look at me and just wave or do something like that. American Legion Post 370 has agreed to sponsor and host this event solely as a community service. Neither the organization nor its members specifically or publicly endorse candidates for any election. Now, as I mentioned, all of us at some time or another, or a member of our families, came to this community from somewhere else. One such person came to Louisiana as a young man. He would go on to co-author the 13th Amendment to the Constitution outlawing slavery. He also played a significant role in the passage of the 14th and 15th Amendments concerning citizenship, due process, equal protection, and voting rights. And he was about 50 years ahead of his time in fighting for a woman's right to vote. Senator John Brooks Henderson once said that he wanted no other revolution than the right of the ballot box, because in America, elections forced those in power to approve what was right and redress what was wrong solely through the consent of the people. You are the people, and you will consent to who our leaders are. Now, after all that, it sounds kind of like I'm running for election. I'm not, but I will conclude with a quote from another famous Missourian. Before I do that, a little disclosure. I'm not a resident of any of the wards that are up tonight. I live in the ward where there isn't a contest. And I do know Alan Telly. I know some of the other candidates personally. I do know Alan Telly, who's a school board candidate, but I haven't had much contact with him since I dropped out of the Lions Club a few years ago. So that's in the interest of disclosure. President Harry Truman said that when one American is forced by fear to shut his mind and close his mouth, then all Americans are in peril. I hope that we can all have a frank, in-depth discussion of the issues facing our community, and let us be thankful for that privilege. I will now ask the candidates for the First Ward City Council, Ann Hanford and Sal Paulus, to take a seat on the stage, please. And you're going to have to get close to those microphones.
Are you texting?
No, I'm not.
Just checking.
This is my stopwatch for tonight. Ms. Hanford, since you are the incumbent, you will get the respect you deserve and have the honor of answering the first question. Remember, you have 2 minutes to respond, after which your opponent will have 2 minutes to give his side or answer to the question. Are you ready, candidates?
Yes.
Question 1. Maps and documents available online show the proposed routes for a replacement of the Champ Clark Bridge, the entrance to which touches your ward. However, the new bridge as proposed would only have 2 lanes. Do you believe it's important to lobby for a 4-lane crossing, and why or why not? Ms. Hanford, your 2 minutes begins when you start talking.
I do believe it's important to have 4 lanes. The traffic on that bridge and on the roads leading to it is very heavy, and the 2-lane is not adequate enough.
Are you finished? Okay, good. Wow, we can get in a lot more questions this way. That's just fine. Sal, your 2 minutes of response time begins when you start talking.
I agree with Ms. Hanford. I think we need 4 lanes for this reason alone. If we're going to talk about economic development and increase, especially in the town, I think that's a critical spot. That 4-lane generates a lot of business, a lot of tax revenue now. So I don't think we should limit that, especially with the traffic going into Illinois on 54. We have an asset in this town with rail, the river, and the highway. I think that'll be a huge benefit to increase that to 4-lane. Absolutely.
Wow, we're going to have time for lots of questions. That was only 35 seconds.
Really? Wow, it felt longer.
Yeah.
Sal, you will get the first chance to respond to this question. You will have 2 minutes to answer. Your time begins when you start talking. The council recently decided to change the city administrator's job from one that is contracted to one that is appointed. First, do you agree with this policy, even though some other communities contract with their administrators and set performance guidelines or goals that are periodically reviewed? Second, are you willing to revisit the issue or the broader subject of appointments and possibly make changes if you are elected?
First, let me address, when it comes to civic government, I have limited knowledge at this point. What my thoughts are I like the fact of having a contract set up. The reason being, actually, Ms. Hanford brought this up, so I agree with her as well in the council meeting. I believe when you have a contract set up, it's gonna help us to find certain employees that would benefit that position. With a contract, we're going to get better quality, and I have to be very careful with how I say that, but people that are better suited for the position to make the harder decisions that we're going to need to grow. So when I speak, everything I'm speaking at is towards a vision for this town. So to do that, I would think we would need to recruit certain people there's a lot of retired people from the city that are looking to settle down in a nice town like this. That's not saying somebody else from this town isn't suited for that position. I just believe if we have a contract, we're going to have a bigger box to draw from. I think there'll be more candidates, more applicants in that process. So that's my personal opinion in it. Again, I have much to read about within that new ordinance.
Thank you. And your response begins, your 2-minute response begins when you start talking.
I very definitely believe in a contract for that position because anybody who moves in from another community will come on a 6-month trial basis probably. And by that point, the person will know whether they like the position, whether the mayor and the council like the person, but that person needs a contract if he accepts the position because he needs a guarantee at least of 2 years to move his family, his spouse into this community. I do not want to revisit that amendment or that's it.
Thank you.
Actually,
I don't think you can.
Thank you very much. And you will get the next question, or first chance to answer the next question, which is this. Louisiana left the Pike County Development Authority a few years ago and set up the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. I'm told that that has since been dissolved. First, explain whether or not you believe the city should rejoin the Pike County Development Authority. Second, what specific measure can be taken to improve the city's economic outlook?
I'm going to answer the first one first. We need to develop jobs. And I'm very much in favor of the small job that would hire 20 people or even less. To get those to come into the community is a lot easier than getting a company that hires 100, 200, 300 people. If, for chance, the position does not work out, then losing a job for 20 people is a lot easier than losing one for 200 people. I have not been on the city council when they were in the economic development program. I am not that aware of the relationships and how it worked, so I declined to answer that for a lack of knowledge because I was not there.
Thank you. Sal, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Okay. I'm sorry for the pause. You know, the biggest thing, my biggest issue with living here, and my wife and I chose to move here, we weren't born and raised here, is, and I keep saying this, and I'm sure I sound like a broken record, is a vision for the town. One thing I've learned in business and life in general is that money and economy will follow a vision. And it takes certain people that are influential to set that vision. Now, I've seen different economic policies and read up on some of the history in my limited time being here. But it seems that when something starts, such as being in the Pike Development Authority, the DREAM Initiative, certain things like that, that they seem to not get squandered, but they seem to fall to the wayside. And I'm not sure why that is. That's part of the reason why I really want to get involved and find out, what's going on the economic side of things. In this sense, similar to Ann, I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I know finance. I run at Edward Jones. I'm a financial advisor. So those are some things that I can contribute. I think in this town, there's a lot of talent, a lot of qualified people for certain positions that need to start putting their 2 cents in. A lot of young professionals. Another reason why I'm running. There's guys in here, I asked Josh DePriest to come here, Chrissy Hoskins. There's a lot of people in this town that we really need to start getting involved for economic development. I know it sounds like I somewhat skirted the question, but I think we need to get involved with a lot of, the DREAM Initiative is something that I very much want to look into more. I'm very impressed with that. If there's more time, I'd like to speak more with you all. Thank you. Well, that's shocking when that comes.
Well, you have 50 more seconds.
I'm done. Thank you, Brent.
That's the first time we've had to use that tonight. It may not be the last. We'll see. Since Ann had the first shot at that question, Sal, you get the first shot at this question.
Okay.
And that is, if such a choice were unavoidable, would you favor raising taxes or cutting services to balance the budget? You have 2 minutes, sir.
I think that's a tough question. I'm glad you asked it, though, Brent. Thank you. I think that if I had to make that decision, I think raising taxes historically would help out in this situation in this town. I've looked at some of the tax structure. So I think there's room for some movement there because, again, I want to look towards 5-year, 10-year, 15, 20-year, 30-year plans. I have children. So to do that, we need to financially become more of a viable town. And again, to do that, we need to have specific goals. So, yeah, absolutely, I would, if it was necessary and I had to vote on that, absolutely, I would vote, yes.
Thank you. And you have 2 minutes to respond.
One time I was running for school board in a community, and we had a tax proposal. And I stopped at a neighbor's house and asked him to support the tax proposal. And he said, you know, we can raise taxes, but we never lower them. Both of these choices I do not like. Maybe cutting services to a degree, but I think we are overtaxed too much at this point.
Thank you. Because of your respect for the time limits, we have got time for one more question, and since Sal started last time, you get to go this time first. The question is from the audience, and again, it has to deal with financial matters. What specifically in the budget, or what specifically financially can be changed so that the city can save money? You have 2 minutes.
Boy, that's a loaded question.
Don't blame the messenger.
Don't blame the messenger. Okay, I'm on the finance committee on city council, and I see the bills come in every month and go over them. I think the thing that we need to do is to be more careful in our use of money. We spend an awfully lot of money putting into the water system to get it purified. We spend a lot of money doing things that we're redoing, like extra care on streets and things of this nature. This is very important to do this, but at the same time, we seem to be spending more of the proportion needed for this type of thing. As far as going through the budget and saying we need to cut this, cut that, it's pretty much what we need for our expenses on a monthly basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Sal, you now have 2 minutes to respond.
I think the town, again, from what I'm seeing, is we've been stuck in this survival mode, almost living day to day. We're just getting by. Now, reserves will be built up, and then something happens with the water treatment plant. So part of my issue here is we need to go away from that mentality of surviving into thriving. We need to start building concise plans and goals and hit those goals. Again, like I said, I've never seen a situation, whether it's civic government or business or finance, where money does not follow vision. So the problem is we have too many small visions and not one concise vision for us to follow. Okay? So when we have a situation with the water system, for instance, from certain people I've spoken with in the past, in that situation, it could have been prevented, or at least it could have been drawn out for a longer period of time. There could have been retrofitting, things of that nature, from what I understand, from certain people I've spoken with. When we lose that, when that sort of thing happens, our money, in a very crucial time for a small town, we can't afford to be making those kind of mistakes. So in a town like this, again, I don't think we should cut certain programs like the DREAM Initiative and things like that whenever that's a betterment situation for our town. We need to start luring people like myself here, young professionals with kids. We can't keep just surviving. We have got to get a comprehensive plan together and follow that plan. It's going to be hard. There's going to be very difficult decisions to be made, but we have to start doing it now or never. And that's, for me personally, for myself, that's why I got involved and why I'm running for city government. I want to see that happen for my children. I'll be honest, I'm very selfish in that respect. That's why I want young guys involved in the future, young professionals.
Thank you
Thank
very
you, Brett.
much. We've come almost to the end of this segment. We've come to the portion where the candidates will now have 2 minutes each in which to say anything they want about their campaigns. Again, out of respect for the incumbent, we will start with Ann. Ann, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I have been on city council for 1 year. I filled in a term of someone else, and so I'm running again for city council. During my first year on city council, I learned a great deal, and I also reacted a great deal. I'm tired of reacting. I want to act. I want to see this city grow. I want the community to be together, be happy, quit complaining, work together. I want to see industry brought into this town. And it can be done. It's a very simple process. It's a mindset of everybody in the community. There's not one person that can solve all the problems, but working together we can solve many, and much more that we didn't even think about. So I'm ready for action instead of reaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sal, you now have 2 minutes of your own to discuss your campaign.
First things first, I need to thank Ann. She's been phenomenal in this campaign. It's been very clean and gracious, so thank you very much. Again, for myself, I think I hit it on the head earlier. The reason I'm running is I really want to inspire some young adults, young professionals in this town to start getting involved. If we don't do that, and it's the same old story across the U.S., if we don't do that, we're doomed to fail. Now, it's, again, comprehensive goals for us to follow is going to take everybody. I don't have the wisdom to do that by myself. Nobody in this room does. And I'm sure there's people that would like to think that, but we can't. It's going to take my views, it's going to take Ann's views, it's going to take the community's views, but we have got to start coming together. It's no surprise. There's been a lot of nonsense going on, and we make light of it, and that's good. But at this stage, we have to put that in the back burner. Economic development is huge in this town. That is what I'm running on. We need jobs. We need a place for our kids to leave and come back to. It's too difficult. I had a quick meeting at a meet and greet, and young man is going to school, and I was excited for him. Well, I'm going to be a teacher. He's 100% sure of it. He's going to be a coach. I said, great. I said, when do you graduate? 1.5 years. I said, make sure you get back here. We need somebody in the school. Well, I don't know about that. I was furious. We need to start accommodating economy here. We can't keep bickering over the smallest things. We have got to start agreeing on a few things. So again, that's why I put my hat in the ring. I want to get involved and really just inspire some people to get involved as well. So thank you again.
Thank you very much. Let's give these two candidates a hand, please. We will now take a 3-minute break, and I will ask the candidates for 2nd Ward City Council, Kathy Smith and Don Oakley, to take a seat on the stage. Thank you very much. We are now ready for the 2nd Ward City Council race, which pits the incumbent, Don Oakley, against Kathy Smith. Mr. Oakley, as the incumbent, you will have the honor of answering the first question. You will have 2 minutes to respond, and then Ms. Smith will have 2 minutes to give her response. Are you ready, candidates?
I suppose.
Mr. Oakley, this first question is for you, sir. Both of you have served terms on the City Council. With all the disputes and fractional that we've seen in recent months. Is there any way to mend what are perceived as wounds and move the city forward? And if so, how so? Mr. Oakley, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Would you repeat that question?
I will, sir. Both of you have served terms on the city council. With all of the disputes that we've seen in the recent months, is there any way to mend the wounds that have happened and move the city forward? And if so, how?
Well, this is not a good night for me to have this problem, but I'm having a difficult time understanding. I can hear better out there, but I can't sit out there and, what do you suggest?
Well, I'll repeat the question. How about that, okay?
Okay.
One more time. Both of you, is it a problem hearing or is it a problem?
A hearing.
Okay.
If you,
If I speak directly to you, will
Yeah,
that be better?
that helps.
The audience has heard the question, so I'm going to speak directly to Mr. Oakley.
okay.
Both of you have served terms on the city council. With all of the disputes that we've seen in recent months, is there any way to mend the wounds that have happened and move the city forward? If so, how?
Yeah, I don't see a problem there. I think the problem stems from personalities. I think we all have a goal, whether it's Ms. Smith or Sal Polis or anyone else up here that's running to better for the city. Some of our views are different, but I think what a lot of times happens is our personalities enter into the problem. And I think if we could just control our personalities and get along as individuals, and we can work out the problems. I don't see any problem with anyone, providing that I win, that I would have a problem working with.
Are you done, sir?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Smith, you now have 2 minutes to respond. Out of courtesy, I will repeat the question since I did so for Mr. Oakley if you choose. If not, you may go ahead and answer.
I think that the fracturing that has gone on in the city is a really hard thing. We have to learn to work together. We have to listen to what everybody else's views are. We have to be able to discuss them openly and honestly without negative feedback from somebody sitting down the way or anything else. We have to take the personalities out of it. We need to be sitting there to represent all of you, not us. And the way to do that is work together, listen to each other, and at the end of the day, you need to be friends when you walk out of there and not going out into the community and putting the other people down. It's working together.
Thank you very much. Kathy, you will have the first chance to answer this question. And Don, I will repeat it if need be. This is a two-part question. First, have you ever created a job or jobs? Second, what specifically can be done to support local businesses while at the same time attracting new ones? Kathy, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I am in business myself. I actually help my mother run our business, so yes, I have created jobs. They've come and gone with the difference in the business that we have. But there again, it's the same thing as with the city. We need to work together. We need to support each other. We need to get out there and support our businesses, whether it's retail or decorating or hair salons. I listen to people all day long, and they're going to the city to buy this or going to the city to get their nails done. How many salons do we have in this town? If we support each other, we will be building a tax base. a bigger tax base where we can spend the money here to fix our infrastructure, to fix our streets and our sidewalks, to build a better community for our kids and our grandkids and ourselves.
Thank you very much. Don, you have 2 minutes in which to respond.
My wife and I have been in business since '88. We moved here in '88. She has employed people, and before we moved here, I had a construction company, so I have employed people. Employing individuals in a small business is different than inviting a corporation or even a small business into town, because all you have to do is to provide work for that person. You tell that person what you want him to do or her. At the end of the day or the end of the week, they receive a check, and that's pretty much it. But there's more involved when you're trying to entice someone to come in. They have to usually have a building. Whatever type of business they're in, there has to be a need for that. And that's why I think that probably we need to hire someone in economic development that is skilled. We may have to spend some money, but I think that money is going to come back. I think we have to work with what we have. Mr. Paulus says that we have a future. Well, we do have a future. And the DREAM was mentioned, the DREAM initiative. We have to work with what we have. We have to have a vision, but we also have to be working with that vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Oakley, you get the first chance to answer this question. There's been a great deal of attention focused upon the City Council's compliance with the state's open meeting law. Do you feel any additional changes are needed to make sure the city complies with the law? And are there further steps the mayor and the council can take? You have 2 minutes to respond.
I think there have been difficulties in the past. I think they're under control now. I don't remember the gentleman's name, came down and we had a school, an afternoon, and he schooled us on meetings, and I think that was beneficial. One of the things that I would like to see in our council that would be changed is a more observance of Robert's Rules of Orders, the way that our business and meetings are conducted. An individual, sometimes we get out of control. Sometimes one of the council people says, I believe Mr. Hoffman said they pushed the wrong button. And sometimes you get that button pushed and you want to strike out, and we need to control ourselves, and if we can't, we need to go by the Robert's Rules of Order to tell us how to do that. And I'm not saying that I'm guiltless, but I think we would do that. I think that would help us conduct our businesses a little bit better.
Thank you very much. Kathy, you have 2 minutes to answer.
Okay, I think there's definitely room for improvement as far as following the Sunshine Law in the closed sessions. I don't think we should go into a closed session unless it is absolutely necessary. And when you do, you need to make sure that those are the reasons that are legally binding to go into that closed session. One way to help the council to help understand is the meetings that Jeff City puts on. You need to go and attend and ask questions and listen to what other people are asking. It's critical that, and I don't understand why when you run for the school board, it's mandatory that you attend these meetings. The city council is not. I think it should be mandatory that these meetings be attended, especially for new people coming in, so that they have a better understanding of what the rules are and what you can and cannot do in meetings. And so when somebody asked to go into a closed session, that you make sure that it's correct. And if it's not, you do not go into that closed session.
Thank you very much. Kathy, you will have the first chance at answering the next question, which is this. At some point, probably very soon, a major overhaul of the city's busiest street will be needed. How would you approach repaving Georgia Street, and how would you pay for it?
Wow. Well, we would need to investigate getting some CBDG grants, but that also comes with a match, so we're going to have to make sure that we have the funds to redo Georgia Street, because it's not just going in, okay, we're going to repave Georgia Street. The infrastructure underneath the streets needs fixing too. And one of the things that we've been working on for several months last year with the DREAM initiative is called a CID, which is a community improvement district. And I think we had the guidelines set up and where the boundaries would be. Yes, it is a tax increase. It's a sales tax increase, though, and it's a limited tax increase. It's limited to the time that we say, well, we're going to just do this for 5 years or 10 years, and it can be renewable. But the funds that are created with the CID are specific. If we say we're going to do streets, lights, and sidewalks, that is all that money can be spent on: streets, sidewalks, and lighting. And I think that would be one way to get Georgia Street repaved and the infrastructure underneath it.
Thank you. Don, you have 2 minutes to respond.
I think there are some streets in our city that are a lot worse condition than Georgia. However, Georgia is a main thoroughfare. But I think if you're going to take a job of that proportion, I can't speak for the rest of the council, but myself, I'm not qualified to make those kind of judgments and to spend that kind of money and say this needs to be done on that street, that needs to be done. I think we need to spend a little more money on some of these consulting firms and get some help in here and get some good advice so that we don't make a mistake. That'd be my answer.
Thank you very much. And because both of you have been very frugal, we have time for maybe 1 or even 2 more questions. So Don, you will get that opportunity now. What specific plans or proposals do you have to boost economic development in Louisiana?
Not always a blessing to have the first question, is it?
No, it's not.
4 years ago, I was driving a truck. I'm not ashamed of being a truck driver, but I don't have the education. I have the desire to serve the city, but I don't have the education to answer some of these questions, and I'm not dodging the bullet. But I think that I still go back to a full-time economic person. But I'm talking about somebody that's qualified. I'm not talking about somebody that's part-time. And I'm not throwing off anybody in the past because I don't know those people. But someone mentioned before, we get these programs going and they stop. I think what happens is the people get excited about getting a program going, but they don't get a lot of participation. And there's not a lot of people interested in those programs, and so they kind of lose their anxiety. If we have a group and keep pushing and get somebody, that would be one thing. But I think the reason that doesn't happen is because the councils in the past haven't been uniform. It seems like we have this side and we have this side. We need to reach across and work together. If you could get 8 people working together, you could get a lot more done. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to work some way so that we can work together more productively. I think that would be the answer.
Thank you very much. We will now go to the 2-minute closing statements. Mr. Oakley, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, give her a chance.
I knew I'd screw up it somewhere along the line.
That's okay, I can
I got a little I got a little scorecard here too that I'm supposed to be able to do this.
Job's on the line, you know that.
I got a little, thank you. I may not be back after 30 years. I even keeping track on the scorecard and I didn't get it. Kathy, you have 2 minutes to respond to that question.
Okay, some years ago, we did have the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, which is no longer in force. So the thing to do is to rejoin PCDA, because that is her job to help us find businesses. It also is her job to help us look for grants and write grants, along with Mark Twain Regional Council, which the city also belongs to. They have helped us in the past do some CBDGs. Another economic tool is called Location One. That is where you can, if you have a building and you are marketing it and you want to sell it, you can put your building, that's through the state of Missouri, put your building on there so that you can get it sold, and hopefully that will bring in business too. But the biggest thing is that we have to be able to get that person from PCDA to come down and talk to the city and say, you know, this is what I'm working on. What would you like to see? And work together, even if it's once or twice a month or once or twice a week. There has to be that communication with that office in Bowling Green. And that is a really good tool to bring us economic development into the city.
Thank you very much. And I do apologize for my error.
That's okay.
Mr. Oakley, as the incumbent, you now will have 2 minutes to say whatever you would like about your campaign.
First, I want to thank all the people in advance that's going to vote for me. I'm looking forward to serving again. I've enjoyed most of the last 2 years that I've been there. Some of it's been trying, some has been downright unpleasant, but we got through it, and it's not always what we want. I think people sit in the audience and in the other radio land or wherever you're at, think that a council person has a lot more power. I think we have a lot less power than what you think. We have 1 vote. And when something comes up, that's 1 vote. Now, there are other things that we can do, and I've tried to, I've contacted, I think, 4 different companies trying to get a grocery store here. I talk to people and invite them to call me if they have a problem, your constituents, because you don't know all of them. The other day I talked to a guy, I saw a thing in the paper, excuse me, complaining about sidewalks. And I told the individual, you own that sidewalk. That's not the city's sidewalk. If the sidewalk's bad, you need to replace it. And I think we need to we need to familiarize the people with some of the ordinances in the city and what is true and what isn't true and what's fable. I think some people have a misconception of government. You're the government. It's not the council. Even though they make the rules and they vote, we would like to serve you, but we can't do that unless we get some input. So I would like to see the citizens take a little more active role in government.
Thank you, Mr. Oakley. Ms. Smith, you now have 2 minutes to say whatever you would like about your campaign.
Okay, first I would like to thank Don. Again, he and I talked not too long ago, and We're both trying to run a really clean campaign, no negative. I'm tired of the negative stuff going. Thank you, Don. I've been involved in so many good works around town, and that I'm not seeing carried out, and I can't understand why they are being undone. I will not give up on this town. I heard a couple quotes the other day that pretty much sum up how I feel. The first one is, and this is my pledge to you, you are my cause. I will fight to improve your lives and the lives for your children and your family. The other one was, there are 2 facts, easy facts. 1, the right to vote is the cornerstone of the American democracy. And 2, we should be doing everything we can to ensure everyone's voice is heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give these candidates a hand. I think we all need to get up and stretch and maybe go to the restroom or something like that. So why don't we take a 5-minute break, and then I will ask the candidates for the 3rd Ward City Council race, James Minor and Bart Niedner, to come forward. Thank you. Thank you, and welcome back to the Louisiana City Council and School Board Candidates Forum. We will now move to Ward 3, where there is no incumbent. That means that we will go by the order in which the name appears on the ballot. And Mr. Minor, since you are listed first on the ballot, you will have the opportunity to answer the first question. And it is an audience question. And you will have 2 minutes to respond once you begin speaking. Because you are a city employee, would not a vote by you on matters dealing with the street department, including budgets, ward street repairs, potential disciplinary action, salary increases, or disagreements with your boss, be a conflict of interest and open the city to lawsuits or other legal action?
No, I don't think so. Because me being on the city council would have nothing to do with my job performance. That's what you're talking about. It would not have anything to do with that. And therefore, I don't see how that would be a conflict of interest. Not through.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Niedner, that question was not specifically directed to you, but as a courtesy, you will have 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes in which to respond, should you choose.
Yeah. This issue I have tried to stay out of a little bit as it's been circulating. So this is a good opportunity for me to be on record with some opinions on this. The issue really stems from the Hatch Act, which is a federal rule, and it's about partisan issues. The local governments, this is a nonpartisan race, and it has nothing to do with the Hatch Act or the amended Hatch Act from 6 months ago. But the topic that brought up was the fact that by excluding people who work for government from running for office, this produced an abuse by incumbents that could then keep qualified people from running for office. I am 100% behind Jim or anyone working for the city running for office in the city. I think it should be encouraged. A lot of times the people that work for the city are the ones who have knowledge and context that's very useful. No problem with that. I absolutely believe that holding the position of city councilman and working for the city is a conflict of interest. And beyond that, it's illegal in state statute. Just flat out, it's not allowed. There's some rules about it going to bid, that we're going to bid if it's over $5,000 or $500 per payment, et cetera. But absolutely, there's a conflict there. So the conversation that really needs to be had, and which has been horribly ignored by the city council and the mayor, is the question of what happens afterwards. We need to address not only the ability to run, which should certainly be allowed, but what happens when you have that office.
Thank you very much. Since Mr. Minor got the first question, Mr. Nieder, this question will allow you the privilege of going first. This is a two-part question. And again, this one comes from the audience. First of all, why have you generally opposed decisions made by the current mayor and city council? Second, can you point to any specific instances in which their actions have caused the city to be fined, penalized, or sanctioned? You have 2 minutes to answer.
It's my privilege to answer first. We need to, this word privilege, I don't think it means what you think it means. I have generally opposed quite a number of things. In fact, it's one of the reasons that I'm running. I wish that I could be up here as I was 2 years ago, running from a more optimistic standpoint. And we can sugarcoat it, and we can talk about getting along, and that's wonderful, and we need to, and we have to reach across the aisle. We have to form bridges. But this city has some very, very significant problems that are cultural, about the way that the city governance works, both at the mayor's level and at the city council level. And these things, this conversation needs to change. We have to find the right role for the city council. Specifically, there's so many things from blatantly, filling federal wetlands at the waterfront when those questions have been asked to, illegal licensing and not following the ordinances for licensing of non-commercial kennel licenses, the handling of that. When you do something contrary to the law, when the city council supports those actions, when the city council, through not following with the sunshine law correctly, keeps you from being informed about what's going on, that's not the culture we need. The answer will be in inclusiveness. The answer will be in openness and transparency. The job of our city government is to empower all of you, and that's not happening, and that needs to change.
Thank you, sir. That question was not specifically directed to you, Mr. Minor, but as a courtesy, you will have up to 2 minutes to respond should you choose.
Would you repeat it, please?
You bet. First, and again, this was directed to Mr. Nieder. First, why have you generally opposed decisions made by the current mayor and city council? Second, can you point to specific instances in which their actions have caused the city to be fined, penalized, or sanctioned?
Well, first thing, I don't oppose most of the stuff because I've never been in this position, and I've always been out in the audience, watching the stuff go by. But I think the council does really well, and there's people that doesn't seem to want to work with the council. They oppose everything that just about, and they've got their own little special interest groups, and they don't, anything that the council that doesn't fit with their little interest groups, they oppose the council, right or wrong. And all they've done is disrupt. I sat out in the audience and watched this, and I don't agree with Mr. Nieder on a lot of this stuff. And as far as the wetlands down there, it was nothing but a trashy dump before it was fixed. And a wetland, I don't call that a wetland. And another thing, like I said, he just hit it on the head. He said, you can talk all this crap about let's all get along and everything, but meaning it and doing it is two different things. And this group of people has no means whatsoever that they'll ever work with city council unless it's people of their choosing. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Minor, you will have the opportunity to answer the next question first. Everyone talks about economic development, but what specifically would you do to improve the business and industrial climate of Louisiana? You have 2 minutes to answer, sir.
Well, first thing, excuse me, we need to fix a lot of stuff, like we have a west water tank out there that needs to be passed and fixed and bid on and passed, because we don't have enough water to supply some of the industry out there, like Fifth Gear wants to expand. That's not being done. They've had one person to bid on it, and then that bid was taken away, and there's never been nothing done. They just don't follow through. And you got buildings downtown that's terrible, that needs to be dealt with, either torn down or something happening. And you've got to have people willing to invest, and right now I don't see nothing drawing any investors. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Needner, you have 2 minutes to respond.
I was asked on a forum on Facebook what my priorities would be, what I see as the big problems that need to be addressed. And I answered that by saying that specifically the problem is economics. We need economic development. More generally and more importantly, the problem is leadership. We have got to find ways to build bridges, and I'm really kind of tired of hearing about the little groups. I don't know what groups these are. I do have supporters, and I know you have your supporters, but I don't see it as groups. I shake hands with people that are not my supporters. I want to work with those folks. But just like that, those bridges have to be built back to PCDA, by County Development Authority, back through the state. Jeff Gay and I met through a Chamber of Commerce meeting that we set up with Missouri's Department of Economic Development. The director from there came down and had lunch with us, says you guys are missing opportunities. We don't even know what's going on, because when we broke that link to the county, we broke that link to the state. We have got to repair that upward communication stream so that we are a part of the conversation. And that can be done. That will accommodate larger industry. But we have low-hanging fruit here. The low-hanging fruit for Louisiana, and I think it's hard for people who live in Louisiana sometimes to see it, is that we are a perfect stopover tourist town. And we are a perfect location for businesses that don't make their money here in Louisiana, but make it regionally. I'm going to get the gavel, but there are a lot of outside of the box ideas about building a critical mass of businesses through industry, second career folks, micro business loans. There are a lot of opportunities that we should be discussing in depth. And
Thank you very much, Mr. Needner. We will now go on to the next question. And Mr. Needner, that will be yours to answer first. It is about tourism. What can the city do that it isn't already doing to attract more tourists? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Excellent question. I'm actually on the Louisiana Visitors and Convention Bureau board, and I have recently been working with the Pike County Tourist Commission. In both of those, I got involved because of internet development. I'm an internet developer, and I could leverage those skills to the ends of tourism. There are things going on. We are not communicating that message back internally. When we bring people in, it doesn't necessarily match up with what their actual experience is once they're here, because our own community doesn't know what that little 30-second elevator speech is. So I think one of the things that needs to be done, in addition to continuing to support the larger outward effort of drawing people in through LVCB and others, is to produce a cohesive vision so we all know what we are doing. We all identify ourselves together and can communicate that, and make sure that the communication isn't one way. We're not just telling people out there, but we're also reinforcing it back inside, so that every one of us in this room is an ambassador for every visitor who comes here, because that is the low-hanging, easy fruit for economic development that you're going to see generate jobs and money in the next 2 or 3 years.
Thank you very much. Mr. Minor, you have 2 minutes to respond, sir.
Okay, well, I'm sort of a little disadvantaged on this because I don't have access to the committees and all this stuff like Mr. Needner does. But I think they could do a lot with our riverfront to bring people here like we used to, like the river festivals, stuff like that that people enjoy. We have beautiful parks right around here, Sunset, all that. But there's just there's just no beautification down like on the riverfront. We don't use it, we don't access it. We used to have boat races, we used to have all that. And people stop over here, some of the people that lives here now stopped in. Color Fest was a good draw for that. But we need more than just the Color Fest. We need other things to bring them here. And everybody has to work on that together to do that. That's it.
Thank you very much. We will now come to the portion of this segment where we will wrap up with the 2-minute speeches by each candidate. Mr. Minor, again, because you are first on the ballot, you will get the first opportunity to speak. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, well, first thing, I want to help the people of Louisiana. That's the only thing. We got to do something with what our streets are a mess. We need to fix that. And there's ways to fix it, and we can do it with our own people. We don't have to bring in outside industry. We got the town branch, which is a mess. I had it ran through my backyard a few years ago, so I know what it is. And we need to help something to get the young people to stay or come back, because I wouldn't want to spend all that money on education, college for my kid, to come back here and go to work for minimum wage. We got to bring things into this town, but we got to work with everybody, and that's why I want to be on council, to try to get jobs back in this town and get things done inside the town for the people now and the people in the future.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Niedner, you have up to 2 minutes.
There are a lot of reasons not to run for city council. A lot. But there is one reason to run for city council. It's the right thing to do. I see a problem. I see an opportunity. I think that I fit that spot. I think that I have the skills, the creative, analytical ability, the communication skills to help facilitate the challenges that are facing Louisiana. It's why I'm stepping in. It's why I want the opportunity to serve this community. I see the job as empowering all of you. I'm a lazy guy. I don't want to do it. We all need to do it. And the job of the city council, the job of the mayor, the job of government is to empower the people to be able to succeed, participate, communicate, and achieve. And that's not being done. From Sal, Jim just mentioned the incredible importance of youth. I've been very involved at the high school with the new Interact Club, who just amazes me, by the way, with some of the stuff that they're doing civically. We have to engage that younger generation. We have the people, if you look down the voter list, the average age of someone who has voted in the last 3 municipal elections in Ward 3 is over 70. That speaks volumes. We are not engaging our youth. We must do that. We must invite them in, because we're not getting the full conversation. We're not getting the full level of industry. I hope I get the opportunity to serve.
Thank you very much. Let's give these 2 candidates a hand, please. We will now take a short break, not like the last one, just a couple minutes, and I will ask the candidates for Louisiana School Board, Alan Telly, Rob Lumley, and Lori Helke, to come forward. Thank you. All right, welcome back. We're ready to go. These are the candidates for School Board. Alan Telly is an incumbent. As such, he will get the opportunity to answer first. The other 2 candidates are Rob Lumley and Lori Helke. The reason there is not a second incumbent up here tonight is that Lisa Pitzer decided not to seek re-election. We will get ready and go here shortly. Candidates ready? Okay. The first question is addressed to you, Mr. Telly. You will have 2 minutes in which to respond. State records show that Louisiana high school students generally meet or exceed guidelines on standardized tests. But one ranking puts the school in the second half of the 519 high schools in Missouri. What specifically can be done to improve performance?
Well, by working cooperatively with the staff, administration, and members of the community to try to solve this problem. That's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lumley, you have up to 2 minutes to respond, sir.
I feel the biggest problem is we're not paying enough attention to our kids. Parents aren't supporting the kids. They're not going to the sports. They're not going to the music programs. They're not following through. We're parents. We're grandparents. We're the community. If we don't start supporting our kids, we're going to have a big problem. We get support there, they're going to go to school. They're going to appreciate going to school. They're going to appreciate being in these programs. If we don't continue this, we're never going to see them excel. That'd be it.
Are you done, sir? Okay. Thank you. Ms. Halke, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Okay. I think the biggest thing that we can do to help our kids is set higher standards. Our teachers need to have higher standards, and I'm not saying they don't have high standards. I'm saying that, complacency is one of the things that set in. We get into habits that we don't ourselves really realize we get into. And I think that teachers become complacent, students become complacent. I agree with Mr. Lumley about our parents, that our parents need to be more involved. But the school is very limited on how much they can do to, get parents involved. I think our school is doing a really good job of trying to invite parents in, trying to, involve them more with their kids. But there's only so much the school can do. But our teachers can inspire our students. And I think our teachers, we have to support them. We have to make sure that they have everything that they need in their classrooms. We have to make sure that they have the help that they need. And we, by doing that and supporting them and supporting our kids, as far as the community goes, setting higher standards, we can make it happen. That's it.
Boy, the frugality on that first question bodes well for answering more questions, just so you know. Mr. Lumley, you will have the chance to answer this question first. You will have up to 2 minutes. The question is, or actually it's a statement first, almost 45% of Louisiana high school students are rated as being from economically disadvantaged families. What difficulties does this present in preparing students for college or careers, and is there anything the district can do to ease the situation?
That's a pretty good question. Don't know actually how to answer it, but I'll try to. Main thing is, the way I feel about it is, when we go in, we have businesses that are leaving the community. The first thing that people do when they come into a district wanting to build a business or move to a place, they look at the school system. They want to know what kind of school system we have. We're going to have to expand on what we make our kids do. We have excellent teachers, in my opinion. They say that we can't get parents involved. I wasn't really involved at first. The teachers asked me. I came in and I volunteered. Once they did ask me, I volunteered for several other projects, and if we just asked the parents, I believe we've got several that would help. And it's, the more you get people involved, the more that maybe we can help each other out, get grants, get loans, get more tax money in here, get more jobs where we won't be hurting for money.
Thank you very much. Ms. Helke, you have 2 minutes to give your opinion on this question.
Part of the mission of our school district is to prepare our students to compete in a global society. Some of our kids will graduate from high school and they will come back here, but a lot of them will not. I believe that a lot of the kids in our community, they don't get a chance to see what is outside the city limits of this town. My kids have been fortunate enough that we've been able to go travel, do things, but not all of our kids can. Not all of our kids go home to parents who will help them and support them. Not all kids go home and have a library of books. Not all kids go home and have a computer. And I think that we forget that, and Brent said that we have 45% of our kids that are from economically disadvantaged homes, but 2/3 of our kids receive free and reduced lunch. That's a large indicator about, where the challenges that our teachers and our administrators face with our kids. I think we really need to open the windows of the world for our kids. We need to have more educational field trips. I've heard a few positive things going on with our teachers that are trying to make this happen. But you know, we need to support that. As a school board, we need to support that. We are a reflection, the people on the school board, our administrative staff, our teachers, we're a reflection of our school. And we need higher standards. We need to open up the world to our kids, and I think we can do that if we all work together.
Thank you very much. Mr. Telly, you now have 2 minutes to respond.
We have to attract new businesses. We have to get people more involved. We have to do this so we have the available money and resources to back our teachers, to back our students. In doing this, we will be able to provide a better education for all our students.
Thank you very much. Ms. Helke, you will have the opportunity to answer first on the next question, which is a 2-part question. First, would you consider cutting sports or implementing a pay-to-play system in order to keep instructional programs or to balance the budget? Second, why or why not?
Okay. Well, I believe that our administrative staff and our superintendent have done a really good job with our budget. I don't think that's a decision that we have to make right now. I am an academic person. I believe that academics are number one. In my view, though, part of academics are the fine arts. I believe that the agricultural education is, part of our academics. Everything that goes into, educating our students. Yes, I believe athletics are, educational. They teach teamwork. They are very important to our school. But I would not sacrifice academics for sports.
Thank you very much. Mr. Telly, you will have up to 2 minutes to respond.
Could you repeat the question, please?
You bet. It's a 2-part question. First, would you consider cutting sports or implementing a pay-to-play system in order to keep instructional programs or to balance the budget? Second, why or why not?
First part, no. We have to provide different things and different activities to keep our students active and have them to get interested in sports and different phases of learning. That's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lumley, as a courtesy, I will repeat the question if need be. If not, you may answer at your will. You bet. This is a 2-part question. First, would you consider cutting sports or implementing a pay-to-play system in order to keep instructional programs or to balance the budget? Second, why or why not?
Well, you said a question a little bit ago that there was 45%, I believe, that was in the, I don't remember how you exactly put it, but lower income. How could you do a pay-to-play program? It just won't work. We have to have sports because we have to have our kids that are physically fit. That's part of them, keeping our kids healthy and to succeed in life. We do need the fine arts, I agree with that. It is our job as a community to provide these funds. We have to work and do everything we can, provide the tax money. We have to use our tax money wisely. There's other areas that we might be able to reduce, but not everything has to be paid for through the budget, I believe. I believe there is some good citizens out there that would donate time, would donate fuel, and help with certain projects that could alleviate a little bit of the budget strain that we have at times. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Telly, I believe we're back to the top of the order, aren't we? I'm glad somebody's keeping track. Well, we've focused on a few negatives. How about some positives? What is going right in the Louisiana School District, and what can be done to further that objective of reaching as many students as possible.
Would you repeat that, please?
You bet. I'm sorry. We focused a little bit on some of the negatives. Now let's focus upon what's going right. What is going right in the Louisiana School District, and what can be done to increase those opportunities for students specifically?
Well, first of all, we are providing an after-school program. We have this, what you call the after-school lunch period, lunch program. We have a number of students that do not have enough to eat. They go home hungry, or they come to school hungry. And I think that is one of the most precious thing that we can do, is to have our students come to school, and while they're in school, having enough food so they can do and study much better.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lumley, you have up to 2 minutes to respond.
I think one of the main things is we have a very good school system as far as our teachers. The school board, from what I've seen, has some excellent choices that they've made. I'd like to one stands out in my mind, and it's Mr. Melton. He has created this GEMS program, and I'm not sure of the girls program, but it's for 5th graders, and it's just to help build their self-esteem, and it's really impressive. I got to volunteer myself a couple of times. I wish I had more time working shift work. I didn't, but it's very impressive, and there's other teachers that are doing this stuff. We have teachers that are donating time. You see the kids come up, giving them hugs. You don't see that in big communities. These small communities, you see kids coming up and slapping the teacher on the back and joking around, but they still respect them, and that's very impressive to me.
Thank you very much. Ms. Helke, you have 2 minutes to answer.
Oh, we have so much positive going on in our schools, all 3 schools. At the elementary school, I know Mr. Melton and some of the teachers are working really hard to get the community involved. Have mentoring going on. We have a bullpup boosters program that, our parents do, and, well, anyone in the community that wants to help support our elementary school. We now have just all kinds of things going on so that students and teachers can see the progress that kids are making throughout the day, all the time. The middle school, I just heard about a trip that they're trying to get together to take some of the kids to Washington, D.C. I think that's fantastic. It would be wonderful to get the community involved and maybe allow more of those kids to go, because some of them quite possibly aren't going because they can't afford to go. Their parents just can't afford to send them at all. And then in the high school, so much is being done, and this is an issue that's close to my heart because my youngest son was on an IEP. He has a learning disability, and we are doing a lot at the high school to get kids involved that have disabilities. Over half of the kids, I just heard a presentation the other night where over half of our kids who have developmental delays, functional delays, over half of them have been involved in some kind of activity in the community or with the school. They're really working to get the kids involved with and including them with the other students so that they don't feel left out. This cuts down on a lot of, kids just not understanding. Kids with disabilities, things going on with them, regular public school kids now can understand what these kids are going through, and makes it a lot better for everybody. We just have a lot of positive things going on. I'm proud of our school. I just want to be part of making it better.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lumley, you will have the chance to answer this next question first. With technology changing so rapidly, it seems that many students who can afford it have the latest gadgets before the schools do. Are you willing to make the type of significant investment that's required to ensure all students have a chance to be part of the cyberspace revolution?
I think computers and gadgets, I believe is what you call them, if we don't provide them for the school, we're falling behind. It's the way it is. When I was in school, we didn't have computers. The principal had one in his office, and that was it. Now I'm on the computer. Thank goodness my young son's been helping me with it. But it's going to take a lot of them, and that's the only way they're going to keep going is we have to provide computers, and not only just provide computers, we got to get on a system where we're updating them, rotating so many in each year. If we have to cut budget a little bit and beg, borrow, or plead to get more money, we're going to have to do it, because if we don't have technology, our kids are falling behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Helke, you have 2 minutes to respond.
I totally agree. When you walk onto any college campus, you walk, into any vocational technical school, they have the technology. And our kids are at a definite disadvantage if we don't have it and we're not teaching them to use the technology before they walk out on graduation day. They need to have some level of ability to use these tools. And for them to do that, we have to have the tools. So I agree that, this is something that, as a school board member, I will support 100%, updating our technology and keeping it updated.
Thank you very much. Mr. Telley, you have up to 2 minutes to respond.
Computers are wonderful. Most students are intrigued by operating a computer. That gives them a chance to get involved, and they are interested, and they figure they have accomplished something if they can use the computer, solve the problems that they're working for.
Thank you very much. Ms. Helke, you will have the opportunity to answer this question first, and it's an audience question. We've heard a lot about extending the school day, especially at the upper grade levels, not necessarily at the lower levels. What is your thought? What are your thoughts on a longer school day, and where does the issue of greater teacher pay fit in with that?
Okay. I am not a supporter of a longer school day. I think that students, young people in general, have a hard time paying attention for, the time that they're there now. So I don't support it at all. I would maybe be open to looking at an extended, a year-round school year. I don't know if that would ever become an issue in Louisiana, but I know especially students who are, they have learning disabilities, or they have, they don't retain well, that over the summer they lose an awful lot. And they come back in the fall, and yes, there is some review, but with the expectations of our teachers now, and the Common Core coming online, and all of these things, setting higher standards for our teachers, it would be much better, I think, for our students not to have such a long break. So I would at least consider that option, but not a longer school day.
Thank you. Mr. Telley, you have up to 2 minutes to respond.
I do not believe we should have a longer day. Students can only learn so much. I think there are times when we are expecting too much from our students. It almost seems like it's a straight-up climb. My recommendation is to go rest. Students can only take in so much, and then they get tired. Their mind is not on the subjects. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lumley, you have up to 2 minutes to discuss the issue.
I agree with both of them. I don't think we need to extend the school day. If we do extend the school day, I've got 2 rowdy boys. If you know them, you understand. If you leave them in school any longer than that, there's going to be teachers ready to pull their hair out. They've got to have a break. If we don't ease up on them, we got to push them as hard as we can, but you also have to have them time to be kids. That's one of the biggest problems with the community nowadays is let's make them grow up, push them, push them, push them. Kids need to be kids. We need to let them be kids. Until we figure out how to hit a happy medium, it's just, we're forcing the kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is another audience question, and Mr. Telly, you will get the first opportunity to answer this one. You will have up to 2 minutes. What knowledge do you have in regards to IEPs and special needs education?
Not very much. That's it.
Pretty straightforward, thank you. Mr. Lumley, you have up to 2 minutes to respond.
Would you repeat
The
it?
question, you bet, sir. The question is, what knowledge do you have in regards to IEPs and special needs education?
As far as special needs and IEP, the main thing is we got to consider is we do need to have extra teachers for this. We need to make it possible to have children interacting with each other. If we're in a community that there's all types of kids out there. You can't, it'd be a discrimination. I hate to say that. We have to provide service for. My wife works with a foundation. It's called Senate Bill 40, and I've gained a great respect for her job. Been going up there visiting with them, and we've got to provide for everybody. I don't know if it's possible, but we're going to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Helke, you have up to 2 minutes to respond.
Most of my knowledge about the individual education program and those types of services have come from my own child. Went through many, many years of IEP meetings and teams being put together for the purpose of helping my son. So I'm familiar with it in that way. I also know it's not just a moral issue, it's a legal issue. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act requires the schools to meet the needs of all students. We're required to provide each student a fair and adequate education. So this is something that, is not only moral, it's legal, and it's right. Our kids can achieve. Every single one of them can achieve. There are some differences, that I have with some of the legislation, the No Child Left Behind, that we have been under, to expect a child with, a learning disability to take the test, take a standardized test the same way as every other student, with no accommodation, no help, and then to judge the school because that student or group of students didn't perform as well as the other students is just, not right in my opinion. But that's my answer.
Thank you very much. You and all the other voters in Louisiana School District will choose 2 of the 3 candidates who are sitting up here on April 2nd, and we've come to the portion of the forum where each will now have 2 minutes to say what he or she wants about their campaign. And because Mr. Telly is the incumbent, he will get the first opportunity. Mr. Telly, you have up to 2 minutes to discuss whatever you want about your campaign.
My name is Alan Telly, and I am vying to continue to be a board member of the Louisiana School District. I have a BS in Business Administration and Management. Served 12 years on school board in Duncan R5 in Jefferson County. Served 9 years on school board in Louisiana R2. Was a paraprofessional for co-op in Jefferson County teaching behavior disorder students. Was a substitute teacher for Louisiana, Bonsall, Bowling Green, and Clapton. My goal as a board member is to provide quality opportunities and education for all our children with the available resources we have. Our students are the most precious commodity we have. They are America's future. My prime interest is always for the good for every student. One of the truest statements ever made is helping a learning child how to learn is a lifetime accomplishment. My desire is to continue as a board member on the Louisiana R2 School District. Your vote and continued confidence will be appreciated.
Thank you. Mr. Lumley, you have 2 minutes to discuss your campaign and any topic you wish thereof.
My name's Rob Lumley. Moved here in 1991. Fell in love with the town, the community, the beautiful woman. I don't ever plan on leaving. What are you laughing at? But anyway, it's a really good community. 2008, I was informed that I was losing my job. They closed the business. I was very fortunate. I got a really good job. I'm driving an hour to work. I have to drive an hour to work because we're losing businesses. I can't run for city council, but I can run for the school board. The school board is a big asset to the community. If we, like I said earlier, if we don't have the school, because that's the first thing people and businesses check out, is the school system. That's why I'm running for school board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hockey, you have up to 2 minutes to discuss your campaign and any topic thereof.
I'm running for school board for the same purpose. You know, I believe that our kids are our future. They deserve the investment of time, resources, anything that we can give to make sure that we set them off on a course where they can be successful. So the kids are number one. Number two, I want our school district to be recognized with distinction. I want, if somebody's going to move into this community and they ask, well, which town, which city could I move to where my kids would get the best education? I don't want there to be a question. I want them to hear Louisiana, Missouri. You know, quite possibly Bowling Green can, attract all kinds of business. They will never have the beauty of our city. They will never have the spirit of our city. I truly believe that. And I want to make it a city where my kids would be proud to come back here and want to come back here and live. Sal Paulus talked earlier about the young man who had a year and a half left of college. And, and he said, I don't know if I'm going to come back here. That was my son. And that breaks my heart because I love this city, and I want our kids to say, you darn right I'm coming back here, but I'm going to have to fight out all the other people who want to come here too. I think that our teachers deserve better pay. I realize there are budgetary issues, but in order for our teachers to give what they need to give to our students, we need to make sure that they have what they need. We have some, we have some wonderful teachers. We have wonderful kids, and I want to be there to support them.
Thank you very much. That was the only time I had to hammer during the whole forum. That's all right. No, that's fine. I think you have 3 potential city council candidates here. Are you sure you're running for school board? Well, thank you very much, all 3 candidates. Let's give them a hand, please. Before we conclude, I have a couple other thank yous to issue to the People's Tribune and KJFM Radio. We appreciate them taking the time to set up and to record this event for posterity. It'll be on their websites. We also want to thank Rob from Deviation for all the equipment, the sound equipment. And let's not forget the one and only Bob Ringhausen. He doesn't like having the spotlight shown on him, but the hell with it. I'm going to have him do it anyway because this man set up all these chairs. He invited all the candidates. A lot of them he went to personally, and the ones he didn't see personally, he sent a letter to. So Bob, stand up and let's give him a hand. You're the kind of guy we need around Louisiana. I want to thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, as well as all of those who've been listening or watching on the internet. Again, there are 13 days until the election. You now have a better idea, hopefully, of who you're going to vote for, thanks to this forum. We appreciate your time, and we wish you and all the candidates the very best. Good night.